But let's in your words, let's dive right into it. We've got basically a two-parter kind of thing for you guys today. Obviously, a lot of people here are Metal Gear fans. That's where like the majority of our fan base comes from, and I really appreciate that. So we're going to cover some Metal Gear kind of news and stuff that's happened here through E3, and then the second half of today will be Yong's interview. So we could be here for an hour or so. So make sure you guys get your popcorn ready and stick in it because we've got a ton of stuff to cover. So first off, how was E3, Young? You were there in
Yeah.
person, so tell us a little bit about it. How was the event itself?
Yeah, it was one hell of a beast. You don't want to underestimate it. It was a lot busier than I thought it would be. A lot of running around. I mean, these are giant, frickin' buildings where you have to move back and forth if you want to try out certain games, look at certain things. There's specific schedules for when specific demos are being shown. And so, yeah, a lot of running back and forth, but it was really cool to see the gaming community just flourish like this. I mean, just seeing everything before everyone else kind of felt, I felt kind of special, just kind of being there. But no, it was a lot of fun. It was really tiring. I'd be wiped out when I got back to my, loft to, after E3. It was exhausting. It was fun. It was, I don't know, it was all kinds of things. But it's definitely worth it if you can, afford the time and money. But busy for a journalist.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure there was basically a ton of things that you wanted to look at and stuff that
Oh,
you
yeah.
maybe couldn't get to at some certain points in time. E3 looks like a crazy beast within itself. But the cool thing is you got some hands-on time with Metal Gear. How did you like that, man? Was that is it everything the Metal Gear fans have been waiting for?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, I had 1 hour with the game, so I can't give you a final verdict. But based on that 1 hour, I can tell you, man. I mean, that 1 hour did more for me than many games did, in its entirety in 2015. Just, just refined. Everything's
Yeah.
just refined from ground zeros. The skulls, man. Holy shit. I don't know, man. I don't know how to describe it. They're freaking awesome. And this is just 1 hour. The right after the hospital scene, basically.
Hmm.
This is basically still
Did you get to play
tutorial
that?
mode. I actually didn't get to play the hospital
Okay.
scene. They when I walked in, the demo was already kind of in set
Like,
up in such a
yeah,
way that
ready.
it would start at the Kaz rescue mission. So
Okay.
yeah, but it was awesome. It was amazing, and I mean, I made a whole impressions video if you want to check that out and get like a like a play on play detailed impressions video
Yeah.
on that.
I watched it last night. It was good. It
Good,
was very,
yeah.
very good. Yeah. So if you guys haven't seen that, yeah, definitely check out Yong's channel. I believe Penguin will link it for you guys there in the chat. But let's get deep into it, man, and let's talk about some of the things that we've got to talk about with the Metal Gear stuff. That way we can get onto the interview because that's what I'm really excited to ask some of these fan questions. But it's definitely a weird thing for this year's trailer. We got two trailers, one kind of long
Yeah.
5 minute song trailer like we're normally used to, and then we got a shorter like 2 minute
Hmm.
mashup trailer. What can you tell us what you think? I know you got some analyzation videos coming on that soon. I saw a post from you on Facebook that said it'll be done when it's done.
Yeah.
But can you give us a hint or kind of a preview of what you're thinking? We talked earlier today before you came on about some of the things that we saw. We spoke about the skulls. I proposed a theory more or
Yeah.
less that the skulls are in some way have some kind of connection with Quiet based
Yeah.
on the powers that they have, and the fact that some of them are female. And I also proposed that during one of the scenes in the new trailer, there's a shot of Big Boss and Quiet getting out of a crashed helicopter,
Mm.
and my theory was that certain portions or certain like situations that you're going to see the skulls are involved in are focused around Quiet because to me it seemed like if Quiet wasn't your buddy or you had chosen to not recruit Quiet or kill her or whatever the case may be when it comes to Quiet, then she probably wouldn't be present in that scene, or
Mm.
maybe that scene wouldn't have taken place altogether. So I've got this sneaking suspicion that Quiet has a lot to do
Hmm.
with maybe the female side of the skulls. What are your thoughts, and what can you share with us about what you saw in the trailer?
Yeah, I mean, Kojima did say there will be some optional objectives and story portions of the game, so that's very much possible. And I do think at this point, Quiet is related to the skulls. I think she's maybe
Like a
part of the
failed skull?
I think she's maybe part of the experiment, and then she somehow managed to get away from it before she was like completely zombified or whatever you want to call it. But she
Okay.
retained some of the powers. She doesn't seem quite as powerful as the skulls, but
Right.
so I think she's like halfway there, and she managed to get away from that before she was completely turned into the hulking,
Skullified.
zombie-like, yeah, exactly. And I think you're right with the female skulls coming into play. That's even more proof, I think, that Quiet may indeed have something to do with that experiment, whatever you want to call it, the skulls experiment, the parasite unit. That's what it's called.
Right.
But the overall trailer, I mean, it's so vague in so many aspects. Kojima really said, "How can I confuse these people the best way possible?" And that's exactly what he did. That was like, priority number one: confuse the shit out of my fans, and he did it. I mean, mission accomplished. Congratulations, because I'm really trying to wrap my head around it. I mean, Paz might be alive. She has the same V-shaped scar.
Yeah, weird, right?
Yeah, weird. We've seen the time lapse of Big Boss, in his Ground Zeroes mode, going all the way
Yeah.
to his demonic form at the beginning.
Right.
Eli, at the end we see two, twins, and we hear Big Boss say "Les enfants terribles." Zero called it, and then it blacks out. I'm just like, what? Give
Why?
me more. So I'm still trying to wrap my head around it, honestly. I'm in the process of looking at some of the stuff that's more obvious, and trying to find a way to point that out in a way that's clear, scripting that. But
Right.
in terms of the vaguer stuff, I really have to spend more time with it.
Definitely. Now, I wouldn't be doing the fans just if we didn't talk about the weird parts that Skullface plays in this 5-minute trailer, which we see him quite a bit visually, and then we also hear him quite a bit. And the fans during that week when the trailer came out, I broadcasted it live on eFusion Week. We took a break from what we were doing, and I live streamed the premiere of the trailer.
Oh,
And
cool.
everyone's like, James Horan was lying. Okay, there's no way that you do a monologue like that and just forget it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it seems to me like Skullface has a kind of a bit to play, but everybody's up in roar because he seems like he's not there. It seems like he's not real, but we know him to be real from Ground Zeroes. We see people taking orders from him, but there's a scene near the end of the trailer where Big Boss is standing near the Metal Gear, and when he turns around, he just kind of appears with his hat. You know what I mean? And I got to get your thoughts on that. And then there's also a scene that I'd like to hear your thoughts on where Big Boss is grabbed by some kind of big mechanical arm and held upside down to be presented to Skullface.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on Skullface's role throughout this trailer? And do you have any analyzer insight into what we may be looking at?
I don't think Snake or Skullface is not real. Yeah, I think he's real. I think he's there. I think that one little scene, I think it was some kind of optical illusion where he was in a position that made him seem like he appeared out of nowhere. That's what I personally think, because if you consider everything that happened before Ground Zeroes, I mean, Skullface is there. We can hear his voice through the cassette tapes. We can see Chico interacting with him. In fact, in the shorter trailer, you see Skullface interacting with Huey. You see him like push him or something, and they're interacting. I have to analyze it more, I guess, before I can make a final judgment. But I can see why people would think, maybe Skullface isn't real. But that's like one little scene where the camera angle was kind of iffy, and I don't think it's enough for me to say that Skullface isn't real. I don't know why that.
So you're not buying into the Skullface as a figment of Big Boss's imagination type thing?
No, I'm
not
not. I mean, we saw in the E3 2013 trailer they introduced Skullface, and he came out with his unit from the chopper.
Yeah, he's got cassette tapes everywhere too.
Right. Yeah. I mean, his voice is there. people interact with him, he's there. Maybe from sometimes Big Boss hallucinates about him or something.
Maybe
Uh,
dreaming
maybe
about Skullface.
I don't know, man. But if I had to put my money on it, I'd say he's definitely a physical entity that you'll be
Okay.
interacting with. I mean, who the hell is leading the XOF unit then? They're not leading themselves, that's for sure.
No, that's for sure.
And the MGS5 previews have stated that the skulls are part of Skullface's unit. I mean, he seems like an existing entity to me.
And I feel like I'm on your side with this,
Yeah.
man. There's a lot of people who've been saying that Skullface is Big Boss's like alter ego,
like Jekyll
right?
and Hyde kind of thing.
Right. And I get why people would think that, but to me it doesn't make sense because there's no way that the forces and other people around Big Boss would let the stuff that's happened go. Like there's no way, as bad as Ocelot is or as bad as Kaz can be, there's no way they would have let Big Boss put a bomb inside Paz.
Right. Or Raper,
Yeah, and there's no way that the characters would interact so leisurely around him then throughout the rest of the game. Like when you see Paz in the helicopter with Big Boss there, like she doesn't freak out other than the fact that she knows she has a bomb inside of her.
Right.
But she's not like, oh my God, it's you. She clearly knows there's a difference between the two. And then at the end of the game we just watched, there's a scene where Skullface is talking to Paz, and he said you had to meet with Zero to make contact with Big Boss. Like it wouldn't make any sense for Big Boss to set up a person to come in contact with him through
himself, like assassinate himself. I don't know what he's faking his own death or something.
Right. So I don't know. There's I'm with you on that. I don't claim to be a psychic, so I have no idea what's going on. But I just from what I've seen, that just doesn't fit it for me.
And there's that whole I know a big reason for it has to do with for the theory has to do with Fox and Zoff, right? I mean, they're like mirrors of each other, alter egos. Like I get it. I see the what Kojima's trying to do there, but maybe they are alter egos in some ways, but I don't think in a imaginary way. I think maybe as physical entities, they're alter egos. Maybe that's possible, but it's not like a Jekyll and Hyde thing where it's like split personalities, where it's like two persons in one body. Nothing like that. I don't think that's true at all.
The thing that's popping out for me, man, is recently Batman Arkham Knight was released.
Right.
And they've got that same kind of thing where the Arkham Knight is an alter ego anti-hero of Batman. He's not a figment of Batman's imagination. He's a real person. He's actively doing bad, but him and Batman are not allies, but they're not enemies really at this. You know what I mean? Spoiler alert, real quick, guys. Young, are you into the Arkham Knight series?
I have not. I don't. Yeah, I haven't found out who the Arkham Knight is yet.
Okay, well, can you mute your headphones real quick?
Oh, geez. I'll just take them off and then do one of these.
I'll give you a signal. Right. Okay. So, guys, there's a spoiler alert coming. If you haven't beat Arkham Knight, go ahead and mute your speakers. I'll give you a couple seconds. Hold on, Young, 1 second. Okay, so the Arkham Knight turns out to be Robin from the other Batman games, and that's the whole thing. Is it's somebody that he knew from his past and they brought back. And so, Young, you can come back now. Come on. Young, you can come back. Come on.
All right.
Spoiler alert's over. All right. So basically, there's similarities between the Arkham Knight and Skullface. And as you play through the Arkham Knight, maybe you'll catch the same vibe that I'm catching, which might not. I mean, it's not out of. I think Kojima draws a lot from other games and other things that are going along in the world. So I think the theory once you finally beat Arkham Knight, it might not be too far fetched for you. So
Arkham Knight, he's also voiced by James Horan, isn't he?
I don't know. That's a good question.
I believe he is. Which is funny.
Yeah.
I believe he is.
Very funny. So, yeah, I don't know.
Aren't people pissed? I mean, the game's been out for like a couple of days. I don't know if many people have played it.
I haven't played it. I put it
Oh,
together. I put it together based on what I know of the story. I did some
oh,
research yesterday. I believe I saw one of our popular streamers playing it, and I really got into the story. So I read up on some of the comics yesterday, and I found out who it was just by putting two and two together.
okay, cool.
So
All right,
I've spoiler warned everybody. Everybody in the chat should be fine.
all right.
And even if I saw somebody put the person's name in the chat, even if you see his name, he's not going to stand out to you unless you dive deep into the lore of Arkham Knight. So,
Right.
spoiler warning was out there. You guys should be okay. Enjoy Arkham Knight if you can play it. If you
If
have it
it's
on
Joker, I will flip my shit.
if you
It
have it
better
on
not be Joker.
if you have the game on PC, you probably can't play it yet. So, um, yeah, so that's the thing with Skullface. So the last couple things I want to talk about because I want to dive here into the interview here in the next couple minutes.
Sure.
I want to talk to you about the gameplay demo that you got to play at
Yeah.
E3. Now I know you can't give specifics, and I'm totally fine with that, but I need you to tell me, and I need you to tell the community why you made the statement yesterday that said, "I am now 110% sure that
Oh
Big
boy.
Boss is Big Boss."
Oh
Obviously, we
man.
know you can't spoil the story. That's
Yeah.
fine. That's fine by me. Give me the cryptic reason why. What is the thing that you heard that kind of set it in stone for you? Because I think we all need to hear it.
There are, man. Yeah. I got to be really careful here.
Yes, I
But
understand.
there are certain things said in the cassette tape, certain names and certain
Yeah.
things that just
Reinforce.
clearly just point to Big Boss being Big Boss. I mean, I don't know how else
Okay.
to put it. It's just
That's okay.
the
That will
way
work.
they talk to the man, the way they talk about some of the previous stuff that that's happened and the stuff like that. It all just it's clear.
Okay.
There's just no doubt in my mind
No
at this
shadow of a
point.
doubt for you.
It used to be
No.
99% when there's always that sliver of a chance that maybe
Right.
Kojima will pull some crazy shit.
Yeah, and I remember you said something like after you saw something about the like the head transplant theory, and you
Hmm.
were like, now I'm slightly pondering
Yeah.
other theories, but now that you've played it,
Yeah.
you've heard some things and some stuff, and now you're sure that we're Big Boss.
Yes, I am 110% sure, but that's just me, and it's an hour of the game. Who knows where the story will take us? Maybe
That's
that's
true.
all a misdirection, whatever. I don't think it is. I think they established that very early on because that's just, it seems pretty obvious because this game is advertised as Big Boss's, turning into a
Right.
villain kind of thing, a revenge story, whatever.
Yeah,
It just wouldn't make sense
exactly.
thematically to have this plot twist emanate out of nowhere.
Yeah,
It's just Kojima does things that make sense. Metal Gear
right,
Solid 2 was about meme, and in that sense, it made sense what he did with Raiden and whatever.
right.
With Phantom Pain, that wouldn't make sense, and
I agree.
yeah, just the
I
cassette
think it would
tapes
be a
make it clear.
huge disservice as well. I think
Me too.
if you're trying to establish the final piece of the chapter in your saga of games, and you swap your protagonist out at the last minute for
Yeah.
some
Right.
fan fiction or fan theory, then it totally discredits everything that we've heard about Big Boss through the other games. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
Like when Sniper Wolf talks about how Saladin changed her life, or
Right.
they talk about how Big Boss is the whole reason why they're doing this revolution in Metal
Right.
Gear 1. So like things like that definitely would kind of they would feel diminished and demeaned if we're playing you know a
I
weird
mean, I'm not
Big
saying
Boss.
Gray Fox won't be in the game. I mean, maybe the hints are for the fact that Gray Fox will be in the game, and I can
Yeah,
totally agree with that
yeah.
because I'm like, yeah, I'm 95% sure Gray Fox will be in the game. There's
Somebody
the
said something about it before.
right, the
Somebody,
timelines match up,
yeah,
and he's such a pivotal character to what happens next with Metal Gear 1 and 2 and MGS1 eventually, that there's no way he's not going to be in there. It's just a
right.
matter of when and how, but the protagonist, it's Big Boss. I mean, there's no way for me around it. That's just my thought, but
Good.
based on
Well,
what
I
I
hope
saw,
so.
there's just no way around it. But
I hope so. I'm definitely excited to get the hands on. We got like 63 days left, I believe.
yeah,
66.
yeah.
66 days. It's ticking down, man. I think that's I think there's like 8 more codecs before it's time for the Phantom Pain.
Oh boy.
So I'm super excited for that. So the last thing Metal Gear related that we want to talk about with you is the gameplay that you played when you were there. We spoke a little bit about it earlier. Does the gameplay to you feel like a true Metal Gear game? There's a lot of concern going around with when they showed some of the gameplay that was released recently, the big 40-minute demo, that the game felt a little less Metal Geary, if
Okay.
that's a thing. But when you had your hands on it, and I tell people all the time, you can look at a game all you want, but until you get there and you're controlling the character, it's completely different, which is why video games are different from movies. And tell us, does the game feel like Metal Gear?
I mean, at its core, there's definitely that Metal Gear exoskeleton, but you have to realize that, just the open world by itself changes everything. And for me, it was in a good way. You're not in a giant facility where you're getting key cards and kind of working out a sequence of events the way the game designers and level designers design the world. You're just doing your own thing, and that's what Kojima's going for here. That's why the open world is there, and it does create a different dynamic. It's gonna feel different, but the stealth, the Kojima humor, just how interactive these items can be, and the myriad of ways they can be used. All of that is there. It's a Kojima game. You'll feel that it's a Kojima game, but it'll definitely you're not gonna tackle it the same way you tackled MGS1, MGS2, And in fact, I think that's kind of the case for every game, in my opinion. MGS1 and 2 were kind of similar because,
Right.
that's MGS2 was, the S3 plan, and it was supposed to simulate MGS1, whatever, Shadow Moses incident. But then MGS3 got into a little, into the open world, a little more open. It's not really open world, but it got into the forest. It's about survival. That's different. That by itself changed the formula dramatically. And then MGS4 introduced the battlefield. And, they did that for the first 2 acts, but then, after that, they kind of try to go a little backwards into the MGS1 and 2 mode, where they introduced Shadow Moses again, and they went a little more action-oriented, which I didn't enjoy as much. But with every game, Kojima kind of changes the status quo a bit. But with MGS5, it's definitely the most dramatic change in since MGS1, since Metal Gear 2 to MGS1. It's open world, and just the mother base system and everything coming together. It's you're the boss instead of you being sent to do an operation. I mean, there's a little bit of that, but you decide all the specifics. You don't have Colonel telling you, okay, you go from point A to point B, and then from there get that weapon, and then you go here. You do whatever the hell you want. You're the boss. You have Mother Base under your control. Awesome. You do whatever the hell you want, and that is different but better, in my opinion. So
yeah, I think so. I think a lot of it got like convoluted in Peace Walker, where you're the boss and you're running this base, but like Kaz is telling you what to do the whole entire time. Yeah. Not just from like the support aspect, but he's telling you what missions to go to.
Yeah.
Telling you need to go do this and that. Yep. So
now
to me, I was like, am I the boss?
Yeah, you're the boss. Now Kaz is more of support. He will suggest things. He says, maybe you should go to a hill and recon the area. He'll tell you that. You don't have to. You don't have to at all. But he will suggest things. But at the end of the day, you're the boss. It's up to you to do whatever you want. And that is completely like the opposite of what other Metal Gear games are, which is you taking orders. So in that sense, MGS5 is very different, but it'll have that Kojima signature feeling to it. I don't know how to explain it. It just feels like a Kojima game. All the attention to detail, all the minute little things that make Metal Gear, it's there. So
awesome. Excited to see it. So before we leave, one final small question. How much did Kiefer Sutherland talk during your 1-hour gameplay demo?
Not at all. I mean, well, he said, "Cuz it's me," in that cutscene that you saw in the E3 2013 trailer when he rescues Kaz, and they have like a little exchange there, but I mostly heard him in cassette tapes. Apart from that, I didn't hear him say anything else. That cutscene was the
Really?
only time I heard him talk in that
Even
first
the opening
hour.
cutscene with Ocelot, where he's explaining everything, he doesn't talk there.
No, not at all. If you, I
Wow.
mean, you've seen the cutscene. It's he doesn't talk at all.
Oh, that's the whole thing.
Yeah, it was the
Oh,
intro cutscene. Yeah, that's the whole thing. And there's like a little
wow.
tutorial in the middle, like where the player skips
Yep.
that part. There's like a little tutorial there, but that's just Ocelot telling you, bring up your iDroid, mark the map, look with your InScope, whatever. But and then the second
Wow.
part plays, and that's it. And then Kaz's rescue happens. He talks a little bit there, and that's all I heard from him in the game itself. In the cassette tapes, he talked a lot. He interacted a lot
Yeah.
with the characters he talked to. So most of the
Huh.
dialogue, clearly from Kiefer, is going to be in the cassette tapes.
Interesting. All right, guys. Well, that concludes the Metal Gear discussion portion of today's Codec. We're going to take a quick commercial break, about 60 seconds or so. And when we get back, we are going to reintroduce Yong as the guest of the show, and we are going to be taking your questions. I've got quite a few of them lined up from the community through the YouTube channels and whatnot. If you are a subscriber to the channel, you will have priority question asking in the chat after I take care of the community questions on the YouTube page. So if you have your questions there and you didn't get a chance to put them on the YouTube video, we'll check those towards the end of the interview. But stay tuned, guys, and we'll be right back with Yong Ya's interview.